and who is one of the interviewers on Spice FM. He's a raconteur, and also he's a filmmaker as well. So please put your hands together and give him a warm welcome.
Good evening. Namaskar. I know I'm the best dressed, but I'm not the artist. I'm Dr. Anand, I'm on radio and I make films. And I'm most interested that someone of the caliber of Rakesh ji is here in our little community. So we are really very thankful to Vic, who brings such high-end artists. So I think Vic also deserves a great round of applause, please. So this is Rakesh ji. He is a second line from his uncle, his father's elder brother, who I've been listening to from 1960. So there's a lineage to this, and I would like him to tell us a little bit about, I think we'll ask you some simple questions. What is the difference between improvisation and composing, sir?
No, the music what we do, classical music, is all about improvisation. So when somebody must have composed like 5,000 years back, the ragas, so they have chosen certain notes, and that note has been given to us. That becomes the boundary of the raga, and you have to be in that boundaries, and the rest is everything improvisation. It's like giving a canvas to an artist, and with some ragas have 4 notes, some have 5 notes, some have 6, some have 7, some have more. So that becomes your color. So now what is your imagination with that 4 colors, what you can do? So the same raga we can play for 5 minutes, it can go for 5 hours also. So it's all about your imagination, what you're thinking while doing it. And also the practice add into it, how much you have practiced and how much you have open-minded and thinking thoughts about that raga. So that's the way we do the improvisation. So depending on how many colors you have, more you can elaborate the raga.
So essentially you're saying that you're given certain notes, but from a spirit comes the actual improvisation.
Improvisation is like what you're thinking about. If you have given a big canvas, of scenery or whatnot. And plus, the practice comes into use when you try not to repeat the phrases and create more phrases. Then the practice helps you.
So, do you play the same thing ever twice?
Difficult. But sometimes in recording, in the studios, we need to play, sometimes we call it double track, DT. Double track the same piece. But that pieces are like smaller, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars. But playing for an hour,
it's always different.
It's always different because when we close eyes, a lot of people think that the artist has gone to sleep. It's not. It's just we're thinking, because in Indian classical music we don't have a notation in front of us. Everything is here, and the notes are fixed. So we need to know that what notes you're playing, so you don't add any note while playing. That will be a mistake. So to not doing with that mistake, we need to practice a lot. So we be in that, and plus, then add-on is the rhythmic cycle. So
yes,
we have to keep that also in mind. And plus, the notes which is allowed to be played at that time for that raga. So everything collectively you have to, and plus, you have to enjoy yourself. If I start playing for the audience, then and wait for the claps and applause. Doesn't work. So for that, my guru always say that when you start playing, you have to satisfy yourself. See whether you are enjoying your music. If you are enjoying music, definitely who's listening to you, they're going to enjoy.
But if you're trying to please, it won't work.
No.
You just please.
In classical.
Okay, you're relatively young. At this young age, how many hours do you practice? How many hours do you practice now, these days? You've established yourself now.
We still love to practice, but there's no time limit now. When in traveling, whenever you are alone, when you're free at the moment, that time you can practice. Like in the green room, I was sitting and trying to think something or practicing. So, but at early age, yeah, like in the morning, getting up in the morning at 4 and doing in a row of like 4 or 5 hours, then school and then back and then again in the evening. And I prefer to play in the night and morning, early morning, because this is an instrument where, I'll show you the instrument. It's just a simple hollow piece of bamboo. And I'm sure that Krishna must be so smart at that time. He has chosen this instrument which doesn't have any strings, no skin, no tuning problem. Just pick up, play it, and 1,000 of girlfriend around you.
Which brings me to the question, are you married?
You can make out with face.
So, and have children too?
Yeah, 2 children and 1 wife.
Only. How do you practice? How do you practice with 2 children and the 1 wife? Because there must be noise around, children wanting attention. Papa, Papa, how do you practice?
No more Papa one. My elder one is like 16 and a half.
All right.
Grown up, is in college.
All right. Wow. Very impressed.
Yeah. Trying to maintain myself. So a lot of people ask, how do you maintain? I say, simple, just be away from home. I'm on road all the time.
Okay.
I just get the bills, what I have to pay. That's it.
How do you decide what rag to play? I mean, when did you decide? Or have you yet decided for tonight? Even now?
Not yet. I would like to see the audience, what kind of audience I have, because, I'll come. The question is, in North Indian, we have 2 kind of school of music. One is Carnatic and one is Hindustani music. In Hindustani music, what I play, we have rules and regulation about the ragas and timing. There are certain ragas which is meant to play early morning, then late morning, then early afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, late evening, and late night ragas. Which I think a lot of people ask me, how does this matter if you're playing indoor? If this is a morning concert and there's no light, so you'll not feel it. But somehow, that mood, if you get up in the morning, definitely you are calm. So the notes somewhere, get into your system and works. It's a big story of chakras, and like if you have a cut in the daytime, you have a lot of bleed because it's a high tide, low tide. So everything works around that scenario. So like afternoon, we have a lot of Tivrama and all that in ragas because the sun is on your head.
So exciting times.
Yeah, whether you are indoor or whether you are not potting, but you will be angry if somebody calls you and wrong number. Hey, get out. In the morning, you might not say that. Sorry, this is wrong number. So that's the way. And then we have evening ragas when there's, the twilight zone, when the sun is going off, and the night ragas getting into. Then we have moods of the raga. We have devotional mood, we have serious mood, serious raga, we have romantic, and we have meditative mood also.
I've seen that all the world over there are flutes, isn't it? You've got panpipes in South America, you've got double, all kinds. Tell us about your flute particularly. I mean, how do you get such a straight bamboo piece? And how does it make it? It's not a machine made.
The flute instrument was created by nature and drums. I think this is one of the oldest instruments. I think in every corner of the world have this instrument with different names. We have silver flute, we have penny whistle, we have a recorder, we have shakwatchi, we have bansuri, which is Indian bamboo flute. And everything is like, every instrument is acoustic and very next to nature. Bamboo flute is very next to nature because it has been made from a bamboo tree. The bamboo, what we get, and especially this instrument, we get the best for the flute in Assam. And I think this instrument was created when it was still in the tree. I think the insects used to eat the bamboo and create small holes, and the wind used to blow across. If you see sometimes the window is a little bit open, and if the wind is like crossing through, you get this kind of sound. So somebody heard it, cut the bamboo, and make the same hole a little bigger. So at least created a sound. Then somebody else came and made it into a row, what size the hole should be on the bamboo. And that way, and I think the instrument was already introduced when Krishna was there. And a lot of people are jealous, other musicians, that you are so lucky that you don't have to tune the instrument between performance. But I also thought the same thing, that the instrument is very simple. So I picked up the instrumental. Now I know how difficult it is. Because to play this instrument in pitch and tune, right tune, you have to tune yourself rather than tuning the instrument.
Which brings me to a question, a technical question. I'm sure a lot of you know what transposition is. You can play the raga from a different scale and move on. Do you do that, or is your sa or your tonic always fixed?
For the classical, the tonic is fixed of the 3 fingers.
So whatever the notes, semitones, microtones, they all have to begin from there. That must be jolly. Hard it must be.
Yeah, everything is difficult once you come to know. It becomes easy.
Okay.
But for that reason, we need to practice a lot. So the Guru says that 8 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours of practice. So that time, and I never did.
But your Guru is your own uncle.
Yeah.
So was he tough with you? Was he loving with you? Did he allow you to play other music, filmy music, all that kind of thing?
I still play in Bollywood for bread and butter. No, because you get to learn a lot of things. But he is like quite open-minded, and he thinks that life is experiment till you do it, and if you're loving it, then why should not? I'm playing music only. It's not about I'm in a Pizza Hut working. So, and in music, the more you collect the knowledge, it helps you somewhere. I can sometimes, when I play light music, when I play Pahari Dhun or any kind of, what I've learned from the Bollywood in the studio work, I try to incorporate in my playing.
So you're not precious about it. This is classical, that is filmy.
It is. Because the way there you get things, what you need to play. And then on top of that, they want the input. The composer, the music director, they give you a certain piece and a kind of an outline. This is a song and you have to play a piece in that. And then your input add the value. And then in that way, if you please the music director, you get in demand. Okay, for this song, I need particular that person, that musician to play this song. So my song will get a little enhanced. I can show you the demonstration that the Komal note, what we get,
yes,
the
please.
flat note is what is called. When I play normally. When I play the flat notes, on the same note I have to open my half finger, exactly 50%. If I get a little off, I'll be totally off. So that's for every instrument have their own technique of practice, what you need. So if you want to become a swimmer, you have to be like very comfortable in the water. So what not? The people like be there for 5 hours in the water to be comfortable. So for this instrument, we need, the difficult part is the flat note. But once you get mastery, when you practice a lot, then you have to go with the ear. So.
Okay. Any particular questions you want to ask? Yes, please, sir. Loudly.
I'm always intrigued how the response is manufactured. They are circle transition.
Yeah. So
how do they decide where the holes have to go?
Well, in the beginning they must have spoiled like 100 of bamboos for each pitch. You can have a seat, please. So in the beginning they make small holes on the flute, and then with the help of drone, with the sandpaper, they make it slowly bigger while playing and see if it is perfect. Because it's not a factory made. Because you will never get the same bamboo size. So depending on the diameter, we need to decide how closer it will be to each other. And some people have like smaller fingers, so according to that, the holes, if the holes are nearby, it will get more longer. The more spreaded holes, you'll get a smaller bamboo. And when we get a thick bamboo also, who has a nice strong lungs, they can go for the thick bamboo, you'll get a deeper sound. Originally, the flute instrument was not allowed to play classical music. Because the santoor and flute is the youngest instrument introduced into the classical music. It was supposed to be a folk instrument, sitting on the cow and playing in the villages, in the jungle, or maybe on the mountains. And so that's why the original size of the flute was this, what in English we call piccolo. It used to sound like this. Then slowly, the great maestro, Pandit Ghosh, in fact, he introduced and he wanted to play classical music. In classical, you are supposed, there was like Drupad singers, Veena, Sitar and Sarod, which really had 4 octaves and a lot of slide notes, because the classical demands for a lot of gamak, what we call slide notes. Like this will play. And the maestro had really small fingers. So he made a big bamboo flute to create that lows and the mood of singing and serious, so he could play serious rather. But he has a small finger, so he had to cut the skin in between.
The web. The web of
He's a doctor, you know that.
Yes, I've also. He actually got it operated.
A little bit, yeah, so he can, really stretch his fingers and can reach and play the instrument. So he was a pioneer who introduced this instrument into classical.
Okay. So yes, tell us about your instrument. Why 2 hands?
Why 2 hands?
And what sounds it makes?
Because we have 2 hands only.
So, so originally, again, the tabla came about due to I'm not completely accurate with history, but there was a need for a different type of percussion instrument in northern India. Previously with Drupad music, which is a certain type of singing with very low notes and repetition of sound and tone, people used to play the pakavaj, which is a double-ended large drum with a bass note which is very, very loud and very, very deep, and the right side again very low but very resonant. So this was played with a lot of volume, and then with the introduction of a different type of singing known as khyal and light classical as well, they needed a different type of instrument to suit that, if I'm correct. And that's when the tabla came about. I think there are a few different theories. One theory is that there was a double-headed drum and it was accidentally cut in half.
It was thrown and it became into two pieces. So they turned it around and started playing tabla.
Yeah. In fact, there is a fun. I think some people may have seen this, where the husband is playing the pakavaj, and the wife comes in with an axe or a hammer or something, smashes it in half, and then he continues playing on this tabla. But that's just a funny way of looking at it, I guess.
Poor guy, he would have changed the wife rather than changing the instrument.
Okay, it would be very nice if you made some sounds, the onomatopoeic sound from your mouth, and demonstrated on the tabla itself.
So, on the tabla, we vocalize our music that we make.
I hold that for you.
So, we have a concept known as parant, to speak the composition. Like Rakeshji said, we don't have a very, very fixed formal notation system. So everything we do is vocalized. And that's why we have our teaching tradition and learning tradition is in the same way. We have what's called Guru Shishya Parampara. So you sit with your Guru and you imbibe all of his knowledge as much as you can gain in his presence or in her presence. So some of the sounds that you can create, this is one of the most versatile drumming instruments in the world. So you have open and closed sounds, On the left drum, which we call the baya,
It's
we
a bass drum.
the bass drum. We have ge, which is your open stroke, and kat, or ke. Ge, ke. And pretty much those are the two main notes on this one drum. But what we do is we modulate. We use modulation. We put pressure on the skin using our wrist. So there's different ways that this can be done. And then there's sliding also. And we vocalize these as well. So we would say, ge, put a question mark on it. Or an exclamation mark. Ge. So in different ways, we create expression. We make the instrument speak. And that's going back to what Rakesh ji said about putting your soul and your personality into it, making it your voice in essence. So different forms of expression. And on the right side, we have closed strokes, theta, or two-finger style, and different position. And open strokes, na, tun, and some other closed strokes, tak, tere tere, and combinations. So the vocabulary starts growing. We go from letters to words, to phrases, to sentences. We create a language out of it. So, da, ginatun, tere kite da. Dagina da. Dagina dati dagina da. Gina dagina dati dagina da. Terigita. Gita. So like this, we create a vocabulary of sounds which grow into this language.
Can you play this?
Almost.
Okay, so that's fine. I mean, is there any question you want to ask? I mean, I think that was spectacular. I never heard it so well explained. I've heard people playing the tabla, but to actually vocalize and show people that you're actually doing words, but through your fingers. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I once remember Pandit Rakesh Chaurasia, who you told me you admire so much. He was asked, when you're playing the sitar, why does your vocal cord, your Adam's apple move? He's actually, I'm singing, but through my fingers. Was it true?
Yeah, you have to ask me this question.
Yes. Is it true? Sorry.
Yeah. That was, because we don't have a notation. So as we are playing thing, we are in advance. We are preparing for the next phrase, what we're going to do, how we're going to end, from where the high will come, and the combination of the music and the mathematics.
Mentally, you're waiting for it to drop at the right place.
Normally, there was a research. The most maximum calories you burn is on stage for a musician, because so much of preoccupied of mind, physical and everything. That's why we eat double after the concert and we put on weight.
Well, thank you both very much. I think they have been phenomenally good. So let's show them our appreciation. So we have a break now, isn't it? And then
Enjoy yourself. If I start playing for the audience, then and wait for the claps and applause. Doesn't work. So for that, my guru always say that when you start playing, you have to satisfy yourself. See whether you are enjoying your music. If you're enjoying music, definitely who's listening to you, they're going to enjoy.
but if you're trying to please, it won't work.
No.
You just please.
In classical.
Okay, you're relatively young. At this young age, how
Thank
many
you.
hours do you practice? How many hours do you practice now, these days? You've established yourself now.
We still love to practice, but there's no time limit now. When in traveling, whenever you are alone, when you're free at the moment, that time you can practice. Like in the green room I was sitting in, trying to think something or practicing. So, but at early age, yeah, like in the
And who is one of the interviewers on Spice FM. He's a raconteur, and also he's a filmmaker as well. So please put your hands together and give him a warm welcome.
Good evening. Namaskar. I know I'm the best dressed, but I'm not the artist. I'm Dr. Anand, I'm on radio and I make films. And I'm most interested that someone of the caliber of Rakesh ji is here in our little community. So we are really very thankful to Vic, who brings such high-end artists. So I think Vic also deserves a great round of applause, please. So this is Rakesh ji. He is a second line from his uncle, his father's elder brother, who I've been listening to from 1960. So there's a lineage to this, and I would like him to tell us a little bit about, I think we'll ask you some simple questions. What is the difference between improvisation and composing, sir?
No, the music what we do, classical music, is all about improvisation. So when somebody must have composed like 5,000 years back the ragas, so they have chosen certain notes, and that note has been given to us. That becomes the boundary of the raga, and you have to be in that boundaries. And the rest is everything improvisation. It's like giving a canvas to an artist, and with some ragas have 4 notes, some have 5 notes, some have 6, some have 7, some have more. So that becomes your color. So now what is your imagination with that 4 colors, what you can do? So the same raga we can play for 5 minutes, it can go for 5 hours also. So it's all about your imagination, what you're thinking while doing it. And also the practice add into it, how much you have practiced and how much you have open-minded and thinking thoughts about that raga. So that's the way we do the improvisation. So depending how many colors you have, more you can elaborate the raga.
So essentially you're saying that you're given certain notes, but from a spirit comes the actual improvisation.
Improvisation is like what you're thinking about. If you're given a big canvas, scenery or whatnot. And plus, the practice comes into use when you try not to repeat the phrases and create more phrases. Then the practice helps you.
So do you play the same thing ever twice?
Difficult. But sometimes in recording, in the studios, we need to play, sometimes we call it double track, DT. Double track the same piece. But that pieces are like smaller, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars. But playing for an hour,
It's always different.
it's all bit different, because when we close our eyes, a lot of people think that the artist has gone to sleep. That's not, it's just we're thinking, because in Indian classical music we don't have a notation in front of us. Everything is here, and the notes are fixed, so we need to know that what notes you're playing, so you don't add any note while playing. That will be a mistake. So to not doing with that mistake, we need to practice a lot. So we be in that, and plus, then add on is the rhythmic cycle. So we have to keep that also in mind. And plus, the notes which is allowed to be played at that time for that raga. So everything collectively you have to, and plus, you have to